Welcome to Beyond Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pachellis, and we are super excited for today's guest. I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of fun work, and we'll kind of be announcing this later on the podcast. But we have a stud athlete here. As soon as I saw him pop on the screen, we had a little bit of computer problems here on my end. Actually, I think it might be my fault. But I see him wearing the Middlesex Magic, and I know that's one of the best programs around outside of high school basketball programs. You play for the Middlesex Magic, you are going somewhere, and you are doing something with your basketball career. And the athletic director of Malden Catholic reached out to me and talked about this student athlete as standout, someone who's like a person that you want in your school, you want in your program, and you want representing whatever jerseys that he's wearing. So we're honored to get him on here today, and hopefully we're going to be covering him a lot more throughout the season. As I said, we got a lot of fun news to share later on. But without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend himself from Malden Catholic, standout basketball player, Matt Gaffney.
How we doing?
Good. How was that introduction? Was that all right?
That was great. That was perfect.
All right, cool, cool. And I didn't even mention the part that he signed with the Naval Academy. So we're going to be jumping into that too, which is really cool. But first things first, I want to talk about something that we kind of talked about right before we hit record here, and that is kind of the history that you are chasing. And I'm jumping right to the chase here a little bit because we just covered a high school football season. We covered Shawshene Tech High School, and we covered their season. They went undefeated, 13-0. We were at their championship game at Gillette, and it was really cool. You feel like you're a part of the team. You know the kids, you know the journey, you understand it. We had covered them the year before. So it's fun when you see someone chasing a championship. But for you guys, an interesting task this year is obviously a state championship is the goal of any team going into any season, but you are looking to capture four in a row at Malden Catholic, and that means every single year you've been there, you've been a part of a championship team, you've been a part of a championship program, and a part of a championship aura, and now you are the lead dog. You are the dog at the head of the pack here, leading that program into this season. So talk about what I kind of just said, like chasing that, seeing that, a vision. Not many high school kids get the kind of swing at this one. So, have you thought about it at all?
Yeah, of course thought about it. Like that's been the goal since the summer. Once the other season ended, we had like a couple months off, but then like once June rolls around, it's kind of like move on to the next season, and like that's been the goal. That's been my goal since I've been here. Once we won the first two, I was like, we got like I got to get four. Like that's the goal. Like that first year we were really good. Second year we were really well. Last year we had a little like drop, but we still came through, pulled it out, we won it. And then this year is just like making history, like go four for four. So
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean I'm a big high school buff. Like I coached for a really long time. So when people chase history or chase records or chase something, I'm interested in it because I know the hard work that goes in it, especially for that student athlete who is chasing that and doing that. I mean, talk about playing at Malden Catholic. I mean, the standard is extremely high there. I mean, obviously a program consistency championship. I don't know your coach on a personal level, but I just everything I hear about your coach is that he's everything in a coach that you would want to have a successful program. But then obviously, I know the student section's absolutely wild there. So talk about playing at Malden Catholic just in general when you are there, when it's different playing where you are, right? Your hometown, your home school, playing at your home court. So talk about that a little bit.
it's a great environment. Honestly, like when we go to the gym, I always say we have the best gym environment. 'Cause you come in, it's like not a super small gym, but it's not big enough where you kind of feel like you're far away from it. So it's really when it gets packed, you can really feel the energy. You can feel the crowd. You can feel kind of like just the vibe of the gym. It kind of just like comes together. And then like playing for Walsh, like he just creates an environment where it's like really tough love. But it pushes you to be like the best basketball player you can be. And that's him. That goes from him, but like all the assistant coaches, even like all the coaches between like Mark Garrity, Brian Dunn, Coach Bova, Coach Lee, Coach Rome, even like people like EJ Perry, like people like that. Like those are the people that kind of like set the tone of like the program, and they kind of just set the standard of like winning, excellence, doing everything right, like scouting, looking over plays, looking over stuff that you need to be working on, like stuff like that. And that just kind of what the coaches do and like the environment they bring allows us to kind of have the fun we have with like the student section and like winning games, having a packed house, having like just a good energy around like Malden Catholic basketball.
I mean, I love hearing you say that because a lot of times people talk that stuff and they say, "Oh, you gotta scout, you gotta watch film, you gotta this, you gotta that." but when you're talking about him, man, like I feel I'm like, yeah, this dude, like he gets it. Like this kid wants to learn. He wants to know. I mean, talk about a scouting report. Like, what's something you're getting from coach or you're getting from even if it's like a defensive coach in your staff or whatever about a player or a type of thing that they throw at you that you should know during a game. I'm a football guy, so I know certain things I might throw at players. But at basketball, what are some things that coaches are throwing at you that that you maybe understand about the person that you're covering or going against one on one throughout the game?
Well, most of the time, like, we'll look at film before, and then they'll be like, "All right, is he a righty or left?" And usually, like, we like to like force him left, like keep him to their weak hand, and that's like a big emphasis. Like, this he's a righty, he's a lefty. Like, you have to force him to that side of the ball, and then knowing just like kind of stuff is like, oh, he likes to kind of like do a little pull up game. He has a little floater game. He has a little like he runs if he drives the basket, like you can take a charge on him. Like little stuff like that kind of gives us an advantage like this guy is a catch and shoot guy, but if he puts the ball on the floor, he's gonna turn over. Like there's certain stuff like that that kind of just brings an advantage. And I feel like the coaches kind of teach us how to do our own scouting report. So like a lot of times, like we before big games, especially like big time games, we have like every kid on the team has to do a scouting report. And then their scouting report, they have to watch their own film. They do their own scouting report, and then they get like the coach's scouting report, and it's all drawn up. And even like watching film and like having a scouting report full of plays and like knowing other teams play and knowing like when they call it out and knowing like the name of that is critical for a lot of like close games. I'm telling you, like a lot of teams, we learn their plays and just like, oh, like it's easy to stop it. Like we literally figure out how to do it. And it really helps us win certain close games.
I mean, you probably see it so many times and hear it so many times, and when it starts like unfolding in front of your face, you're like, "This is what it looks like in practice." Like,
Exactly.
it's nice. I mean, you play in a tough conference. I mean, obviously, you're playing some of the better teams in the state or the top ranked teams in the state consistently, and you're seeing them twice in a home for you. I mean, you've been through this program, and you're talking about scouting reports and how to break down film or kind of create your own scouting reports. What is the biggest thing you have probably have saying that you've taken from this program, maybe from when you walked in here freshman year to now being a senior that is it is it that's ingrained in your brain or is there something that you've just kind of carried with you as you now hold a torch leading this program that you've learned from the kids before you?
I would say like I would say that like just kind of like because it's a kind of like collegiate environment through like the scouting reports through kind of the way the style of coaching Walsh does. But I honestly say the biggest thing I picked up from here is like kind of like work ethic and like making sure you're getting extra reps, making sure you're doubling on like your workouts in the summer, like making sure you're working out before school or getting lifts in, like stuff like that. I feel like I is a big way for me here. Like I feel like I'm kind of used to like doing 2 workouts a day. Like, it's not like my body doesn't really crumble because of it. Like, I feel like I've taken kind of the mantra of like hard work and like extra reps, and I've like that's like kind of one of the biggest takeaways from MC.
That's great, man. That's great. Who are you a little bit outside of like hoop a little bit? Like obviously you kind of seem like you're a live and diet, but who are you a little bit? Do you have like interest? You belong in anything in school, like clubs or anything like that? Like kind of what are some things about you outside of the game of hoop a little bit?
Yeah, I just like to kind of like just kick back like on the weekends and stuff. Outside like for school during school, I'm like a part of I'm president of the National Honor Society at my school. Last year I was the vice president of my class. And then like through because of school, I gotta do like community service. So like I've done like various things where it's like volunteering at like a homeless shelter and like tutoring kids or like helping around my church or like local communities like senior centers. So I try to do a little bit of everything, but like I just like kind of like to relax and kind of take
Yeah, just a little of everything, just
yeah.
casually being GI Joe, dude. That's unbelievable. I mean, that's incredible stuff. Like, in all seriousness, I mean, a lot of obviously you play a lot of hoop outside of just high school hoop. So for you, to be doing all that other stuff. That's time that people might be spending with friends or going away or spending with family, and you're kind of giving back your time or giving time that you do have to other things. Man, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Don't underplay that. Um, Now, for you, obviously, you and I joked in calling you GI Joe, but you made a choice of kind of choosing the Naval Academy, and that is something you seem to choose right before your senior season. Talk about that whole process for you, because first of all, I think it's cool, obviously, to when teams when you're at a high school level want you at a collegiate level, but obviously at one of the highest institutions, and recruiting you and looking at you. I mean, that's incredible stuff. So, I mean, for you, talk about that process a little bit of when people started really showing interest in you as maybe a hoopster.
Yeah, well, I've always I like, I would say it was like this spring and this summer. I had my coaches like reach out to coaches like last year and stuff. So I was a little known through like the Patriot Ivy League kind of conferences and like high academic D3s. I would say my recruiting really picked up at like the spring at a AU tournament in May. I played pretty well there. It was in Indiana. Played pretty well there, and then I kind of like I added on. So I went to Jersey Live. With like our high school team. We just put together like a little team and went to Jersey Live. So I played pretty well there. I got my first offer from Chicago State there. And then throughout the process, I was kind of like looking in the range of like the Patriot League, the Ivy League, the NEC, MAAC, and then like high academic D3s and like the UAA and like the NEPSET or NESCAC. And there was kind of just like a I was just looking at schools, and schools were interested in me because of like my student, because of how I was a student, and I was kind of wanted to go to school that was a good basketball situation, but also like a really good academic school.
I mean, that's great, man. And I mean, is your family like military background, naval background, anything like that at all?
No, my both my grandfathers did like a little. They like went in the Army and Air Force, but it's not like a big thing in my household.
So that was something that you kind of was something more of you, like you really were, that was the interest in the route that you wanted to take. And that's unbelievable. Just talk about that decision making if you can in any way. We have a lot of young listeners, people that are making decisions at all different levels. You mentioned you were kind of looking across the board as far as division went and conferences went. You really were looking to play some competitive basketball no matter where it was. Um, but the final decision making is obviously the final decision making. Talk about anything you want about that and just kind of how you maybe made that decision with you and your family.
Yeah, I kind of made my decision because like I said, I wanted to be play at a really good basketball school. I wanted to play at a school that was gonna like be good academic wise because of eventually give me a good job and like my future. So the Naval Academy is really good because I felt like the coaches themselves really wanted me. I felt like they really did a good job recruiting me. They really wanted me to be like, well, they really welcomed me into their program throughout my visit, throughout my time, like just texting them and calling them. Um, and I feel like when I made my decision, I kind of felt like it was like a calling from God that because they were really heavily recruiting me, and like other schools were kind of recruiting me, but they weren't as aggressive as they were. And I just felt that they really wanted me. It was a really good school, and like the benefits after is just like beyond basketball is what you really have to think about when you go into college. It's really because it's gonna stop. Not everyone's going to the NBA. Only 1% of people that ever play basketball go to the NBA, maybe less than that. So you got to figure out what you're gonna do with your life afterwards. And I feel like the Naval Academy was just a really hard, really big opportunity I couldn't pass up because of the benefits gonna bring throughout my life when I'm like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70.
Amazing. That's awesome, man. And I love that you kind of said that last part of it, like life outside of basketball, where that's going to be best set up for you. That shows like a mature decision, and obviously you really thinking about it, with yourself, but obviously with your family and having that support system. It's really nice. So obviously, I joke with the Middlesex Magic a shirt on that you have there. Coach Giordano went to high school with him. He was on this podcast. We covered his program at Chelmsford, so we're pretty friendly with him. We're actually covering his hoop program again this year. We're coming in for a game, so we're excited. But obviously, there's a lot of great coaches there, not just him. But talk about playing for a program like that parallel, because I mean, when I look at Middlesex Magic and I look at high school basketball, I would say Middlesex Magic and Malden Catholic basketball are kind of like the king of kings in their areas when it comes to basketball in this area. And you are playing for two extremely highly competitive programs with coaches that either have similar philosophies or different philosophies, but get you playing at all different levels in all sorts of ways. So talk about just like playing at an elite level as constantly as you are in basketball.
Yeah, I said the Magic is really good because it's a super organized basketball, like AU basketball program, and that they kind of the way they place you, it's really trying to benefit you and like give you the best opportunity for where you go. And I played for Lambros, Papa Lambros. He's a coach at Nobles now, but he was really good for me because he's a little similar to Walsh, but he's kind of like opposite as the way his coaching style is because he's very like relaxed, like laid back, kind of really different from Walsh. But I feel like he kind of allows people to like showcase their skills, but also has like a good structure of like basketball and like cutting, like back doors, setting back screens, setting like down screens. Like that's a really good style of basketball for like me. It's like someone that plays like me and like all the kids that are on my team. And I just feel like the environment in our gym, because even like when we would scrimmage like the karate team with like all the other kids. We would scrimmage down. We give them a lot of we give them a lot of like good work. Honestly, we beat them a lot of the time. And then we play the third team, and they would like give it to us sometimes too. Like it was each every day in practice, wherever you scrimmage, didn't really matter. You were still gonna get good reps in. You were still gonna get good like competitive games.
I mean, that's great, and that's kinda like what you want because I always felt like as a coach, when you play teams at a high level, the one difficult thing to always, like, kinda simulate and practice is speed. So, in hoop, it's probably the same thing somewhat of playing at a faster pace, so when you have, like, a 3rd team that is competent and competitively play, like, when you get into game mode, you're already ready for that. Like you've seen that speed or you're seeing that like competitive speed. So it is nice. Now for you, like kind of just you play in a very difficult conference, and we talked about that already. For you, is there a team in conference you get a little bit more juiced up for more than others? Is there a team that gets you a little bit more jacked up when you play them, when they come to your place or you go to your place that you just kind of want to beat? Is there a team in the Catholic Conference like that?
I would say they're all kind of like that, like for different reasons though. I would say like BC High, like they beat us twice their freshman year, like pretty badly. They had Loughnane and they had a really good team. And then they got us last year. Zavarian beat us twice last year. CM, we've always had really good games in the back and forth throughout the years. And then like St. John's Prep is kind of like our school's rival. So like everyone kind of gets up for that game. And then Shrewsbury's they're an interesting team because they're like the way they run their like program, the way they run their like plays and stuff, it's very different from where the style we play. And it's always weirdly competitive with them. Like when we go to Shrewsbury, it's the guy like you have to get up for that game or you're gonna lose.
Yeah, yeah. What talk about the squad a little bit. I mean, obviously you're one of a few probably seniors here that are also kind of facing that journey or going for that journey of four for four and getting four in a row. I mean, talk about your teammates a little bit, who they are, and kind of what the squad does look like going into this year.
Yeah, we everyone I feel like this year kind of got a little bit better, like a year older within like the sophomores and juniors and like seniors. So it's like me, Colin Mankey, he's like a senior, and then like we have like Abe Kamara, Monica Kamara, Julian Rodriguez, Jaleel Lawson, and then Adrian Howell and like Bubakar. Like we all kind of just are maturing a little bit in the basketball way, and just kind of they're just kind of getting better throughout like the way. And I think our team this year is really deep, and we like our 1 through 13 is very very deep. Any kid in our team could really play and start anywhere in the state. But it's just kind of all like we just got to put it together a little bit more, like a little bit more maturity wise, because a lot of kids they've gotten better, but they haven't really fully played yet. The only one that's really played is like myself.
So you lost to BC High twice. I remember that they were loaded that year. I mean, you guys were loaded that year too. So how many games have you lost in your career at Malden Catholic? Can't I mean maybe one hand you could count on?
No, last year we lost a good amount. Like my
Oh, okay, 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 okay.
I lost 4 games total. Or we lost 4 games total, and then last year we lost like I think it was like 8 or 9. So it's like around 13, 14 kind of range.
Okay, but still, that's pretty good considering, let's say 3 years of that, you play 20 games a year. I mean, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good window of success for you. You mentioned all the guys in the squad and then obviously experience and so on and so forth. You had tryouts, you guys kind of figure out your team. Anything surprise you about your team in a real positive way? Something that you maybe weren't expecting that I mean, was it the deepness of your bench 1 through 13? Is it the competitive play? Is it kind of the competitiveness of practice? Is there something that is standing out a little bit this year as you're jumping early into the season?
I would say the like a surprise is that everyone's kind of like coming together. Like I feel like teams in the past have kind of we're friendly with each other, but we weren't really like hang out friendly with each other. I feel like this year's team is a lot different. Like even the coaches said that. Even like all the assistant coaches were like, yeah, like everyone seems to like kind of like each other a lot more. Everyone like on the team, I feel like is actually like truly like friends with one another.
God, that's like when a coach thinks that and feels that, man, I tell you, it's just such a stress relief because it is like one less thing you have to worry about with your team if everyone's just getting along with each other and kind of has the same, same eyes on the prize and the same thing. What kind of music do you listen to? I mean, I ask this question a lot because I never get the same answer. And I had a kid just tell me last time he's, player of the year in Massachusetts, going to play running back at BC next year, goes to BB&N, and he listens to Alice in Chains. I mean, that's like stuff I listen to before a game. So like it blew my mind, like the songs he was saying. I'm like, what? Like so what type of music do you listen to?
It depends on the season for me. Like in the summer, I'll listen to like really like country music between like Zach Bryan, Morgan Wallen, Zach Brown band, and then like in the winter, I'll listen to more like kind of rap and like R&B stuff a little bit, like kind of like Drake and Lil Baby and Gunna.
Yeah.
But it depends on like kind of what I'm feeling.
Okay, okay. So it is. It's kind of all seasonal for you. Yeah, man, I never get the same on that. I always get interested in the answers. And, sometimes you hear people, like I said, you would never expect them to say what they say. I mean, I've heard like soft music, like I'm like, what, really? But hey, everyone has their genre, everybody has their preference. For you, I mean, the one thing that we talked about is obviously your maturity, and I see that in your decision making for school, and then obviously speaking about your team and your teammates and what your vision is as far as your season goes. What would be your advice to young high school athletes out there, kids that are in the process of maybe the beginning phases of where you were when you started getting text messages or letters mailed to you or schools contacting you, getting offers? What would be advice to kids who are just at the beginning stages of that as they maybe are trying to figure out how to navigate through it?
I would say just to kind of just keep like working hard. Like honestly, like the extra work is like the best part of everything because when it just builds confidence in yourself and like kind of just who you are, like on whatever sport you're in, and just like kind of putting in extra work. Different like it's annoying. Like I tell you, like it's annoying to like not sleep or it's annoying to like work out over like hang out with friends or kind of just like sitting at home. But it's worth it in the end if you really want to go play collegiate sports.
That's great. I mean, that's real great. And that's like, that's the toughest thing I think a lot of kids go through with the transfer portal out and out. I mean, I've had people on that have talked about going to different programs 3 years in a row and doing that. And I think it's hard when you're 17 and 18 years old and you're being asked to make a decision about going to a school that you think is where it's the right place, especially for people that don't maybe have the greatest support system as yourself might have had or other people might have. So it is always difficult for young athletes to navigate that. And I think your answer is great. I mean, I think it kind of express exactly who you've been throughout this entire conversation that we've had. I appreciate you coming on here today. I know we were supposed to come on Monday and my son took a big thump and yeah, a few days later, it's still there, but,
I
uh, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, 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 this has been great. So, we plan on being at some Malden Catholic games this year. We'll talk a little bit more off air about that, but, listen, and I mean this, like, as a coach and as someone who really, like, enjoys high school sports, and we cover it all different sports, you have a great opportunity here. Enjoy it. It's your senior year. I mean, senior year is the best, but, man, yeah, what a fun thing you're chasing, and enjoy the moment and the bumps that maybe come with it, but, man, we're going to be there to try to cover as much as we can and get that for you guys as you try to achieve excellence. I'll be real. I mean, there's no other better word to use it. I mean, that's something that's really cool, and not many people can say that they've even attempted to do. So I wish you the best, but this is just kind of the beginning. So we appreciate you coming on here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, guys, we have a big week coming up. We have a few announcements that we're going to be making. Our high school football season is over, but we are not taking a deep breath and relaxing. We're jumping right into hoop season. We have high school hoops and high school wrestling coming up and some high school hockey. So, check out our social media at underscore beyond podcast on Instagram to see what it is that we will be doing for the next few weeks. And this might be our last podcast before the holidays. We may have one more, I'm not sure, but for those that are listening, happy holidays to everybody. I hope you enjoy you and your family, and we will be back. Okay. Thank you so much. Until next time.